All right, it's Prop the Mic, PTM, coming to you live on a beautiful Friday, November 1st, here in Los Angeles. I think you guys on the East Coast are having some unseasonably warm weather as well. So it's always nice
That's
this
true.
time of year. As our regular viewers may have noticed, we got a new lineup here today on PTM Live. Dave's headed down to North Carolina to spend the weekend with some of his Duke buddies. So we brought in the newest member of the PTM team. You may know him as AKA Toned on Twitter. Big Tone, welcome to the pod. So happy you
Thank
could
you.
join,
Thank you.
man.
Happy to be here.
Good to have you. Good to have you, Tim. What's going on?
Still hurting from last night, dude.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
said, they just need to sell. They need to sell the team. I think that's. I think they were right in that first quarter. That was a wild chant to hear them saying sell the team in the first quarter
Yeah,
of the home
yeah.
game.
Not the first time that's happened with the Jets. But before we jump right into all the picks for today, as you all know, Props.cash has been the longtime sponsor of Prop the Mic, and we 100% could not do what we do without the tools they provide. And we want all of our viewers to see for themselves the power of Props.cash. So for a limited time only, we teamed up with the team over at Props.cash to offer PTM listeners an exclusive 50% off discount for their first month of Props.cash. This is a great opportunity to check out their tools and see just how much Props.cash can help you elevate your prop betting game. So get in while you can. This is limited time only. Like I mentioned, sign up using code PTM50 to get 50% off your first month, not the usual 25. Again, that's PTM50 to get 50% off your first month of Props.cash. You guys are rocking your Props.cash. I think Tone's got his Props.cash hoodie on. Tim's usually got
Mine are
his
all
on.
dirty. Yeah, I
Okay.
got some violent gentlemen today to celebrate
There
hockey
you
that I
go.
will be in attendance tonight. So it's
There you
very
go.
appropriate.
Blue Jackets are getting your presence at the game.
They are, and dude, we talked about on the last episode. I was going to go over because McJesus is in town. Connor McDavid, one of the best
Yep.
hockey players of all time, and he got hurt 30 seconds into his shift and is now out. So we ended up winning. It was 6-0. They scored like a kind of last minute goal. So I'm very happy I didn't go because I was going to go watch him play. But as a Jackets fan, I was happy with the outcome. But he's out, which hurt our bet. But that's okay. He
That's
didn't play.
okay. It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
So why don't you start us off before we dive into the Sunday NFL main slate here?
Let's do
Why don't
it.
you we got started with hockey. Let's dig into a little
Let's see how
hockey. I know you got a little hockey nugget for us, and maybe even a little
I
footy
do.
something or other. So you
I
need me to bring
do.
up the props.cash screen for this one?
Let's do it. Yeah.
All right.
You know
All right,
what?
let's do it.
You have to see there's some greatness happening in this NHL season, 10 games into it for most. And it needs to be witnessed by all these people who don't give
All right.
hockey the
All right,
attention
let's
it
get ready
deserves.
to rock here. Let me find the screen. There we go.
There we go.
All
Hit
right.
me with the Blue Jackets Winnipeg. The Jets are playing the Blue
Okay.
Jackets at home.
There we go.
Cool. And then go over to points for me instead of shots on goal.
Okay.
So the Blue Jackets, we surprisingly have one of the sixth best defense as far as goals scored, giving up 2.78 per game. But Winnipeg, specifically Kyle Connor, click on Kyle Connor for me, is having an insane season. Look at his 100% of the games so far. So I guess 11 games for them. Look at this. Started out hot, and then when you think they would normally regress, just exploded.
Wow.
So this is his points. So we're taking him to score a point tonight. But real quick, just click over to his goals next to points. And I'm not going to bet it because
Dude.
it's against my own team.
Wow.
But Winnipeg puts up a lot of goals. They have a lot of offense. And when they score, he's involved. So I'm not going to take him to score tonight. Or maybe I should. Maybe I can. No, then it would just hurt me. But take his point. He will be involved. It feels like that's a little bit safer because then he doesn't score. He gets an assist. We still get paid.
All right.
And then just go back to points that same game. Click on, where is he? Mark Shoffley over there.
There you go.
So we're going to take him. His line is up to 1.5 points because he does the same thing where he produces. So if you take them both to record a point, and again, that for any of you new hockey bettors, there can be 2 assists on every goal. So you can get up to 3 players scoring a point on 1 goal. And these 2 often record points together. So you could cash this bet with one of those 2.78 goals that are available. And if you take it on 365 in your state, I think it's about even money. and then try the other apps wherever you're at. Just shop around a little bit because they vary a lot. I know on FanDuel it's like minus 155. So if you can get over to another app that may have the availability, a little bit more availability than 365, take those two to score about even money minus 110 and smack it. So that's the hockey for tonight.
All right.
There's a bunch more. If you're in the Discord, I'll give it to you if you want more of these type of plays. But
There we go.
that's what I'm on. Yeah.
Nice tease. I like it. All right. Now we got I think we got some soccer starting soon, right?
We do. I'll just give out one real quick. I won't waste too much time. But there is a Bundesliga game today starting at 3:30 Eastern time. So you got about an hour and a half to get it in. Leverkusen, who won the league last year without recording a loss. The two teams today, basically, I won't bore you. They have not gone under 2.5 since like 2020. There's been one game head to head since then that they went under that didn't have both teams to score. So we have a little smack that mixes that game, which is taking Leverkusen, the home team, to score 2 goals. So the over 1.5 team total. And then there's 2 MLS playoff games tonight. It's Charlotte and Orlando, Colorado and LA. Just take Orlando to score 1 goal and then LA to score 1 goal. And that gets you minus 114 currently on FanDuel. And if you take it to 365, I think you get a little bit better odds. So that's the soccer smack. It starts about an hour and a half. There's some fun to score assists in the Discord as well if you want to head over there. There's 300% hitters that pay out like plus 564. So if you want to get in there real quick, you might be able to jump on that with everybody else.
All right, sounds good. I would love if the NBA added the hockey assist to their scoring.
That would be beautiful.
That would be great?
beautiful.
Mason Plumlee might have 40 assists a game in that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. That'd be awesome. Tone, you get involved in any soccer or NHL betting at all?
I know 2 things I just can't do. I just can't.
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
Can we talk about that? Let's talk about that real quick. I think this will be entertaining. I'm curious. I'm not angry. I'm curious because if I look back at my numbers, I dip into NFL and have a good time in NBA, but the numbers are genuinely really, really good with soccer and hockey bettors. Why is it that NBA bettors or I guess like the Discord community seems to gravitate so heavily towards other sports and stays away from them when they're traditionally pretty profitable?
I think for me, it's more so of things that I know like EV bettors can like bet something and not have to watch it. I feel like for me, if I have action, I have to watch it or I have to at least like tune in and know what's happening. I think I just don't necessarily know all the breakdown of soccer or all the breakdown of NHL. So for me, it's more of a personal thing of just not knowing I'm not going to be able to enjoy whatever I do end up betting. You know what I'm saying? And
that's fair.
It's not all about the money, Tim.
Yeah, I think.
Nah, I'm trying to get to it, man. Tired of getting hooked.
I treat sports like investing. So I have like a very like my heart isn't in it a lot. But I think what you said is why betting is exploding because people want to have action in their thing. Yes. And so I'm definitely I'm like putting out stuff and I'm like, look, this is where you make money. And they're just like, I just don't want to watch it. So that's fair. I'm curious about that read.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
All right. Nice.
He hates it too. Don't worry.
Yeah. All right. Let's dig into this NFL slate. We got 13 games on the Sunday main slate. I don't know. Not my favorite week so far. But
you could say that.
Yeah, right. It's just I don't know. A lot of bigger spreads. The spreads really the last couple of weeks have gone from a lot of like very tight spreads to now we're starting to get some bigger numbers. So people who like to tease games, they're probably liking this a bit the last couple of weeks if that's your game. But let's start. The first game I had some plays on that I liked was this Denver-Baltimore game. Before we dive in, I don't know, Tone, do you have anything from this game you were
Denver,
liking?
Baltimore, no.
Yeah. No? Okay.
I mean, sneaky Broncos money line, but that's just because I'm not a big Ravens fan.
I think Broncos money line is sneaky as well, man. It's definitely something I looked at earlier today. But all right, let's get in this real quick. Denver heading into Baltimore. Baltimore's 8.5-point favorites at home. Totals 46.5. So what do I like here? I like, you have Baltimore as the home favorite, right? They have the second best run defense. What do those two things combined lead me to think? We're going to see a lot of passing from Bo Nix. They're probably going to be from behind. The run game probably won't be able to get going. Baltimore's been great against the run. And on the other end of the spectrum, they have allowed the most passing yards to opposing quarterbacks through 8 weeks this season, 311.6. If we click over here and take a quick look, you can see every quarterback except Josh Allen has cleared their passing yard line against Baltimore. They've allowed the second most completions, 26 completions per game, the second most attempts, 38.5, and by far the most passes of 10 plus yards. They've allowed 103 completions of 10 plus yards. Second on that list, I forget what team it was, but they're at 88. So a wide margin between number 1 and number 2 there. So I just think this sets up nicely. This line may be creeping up. Now you can still get it I got it for 213.5 on DraftKings earlier today. It's already at 216.5. So we got some upward pressure there on Bo Nix. You can see the hit rates aren't great, but last week against Carolina, 284. He's getting to 200. I mean, he's had over 200, and was that five of his 8 games this season. And the guy's a rookie, so now he's halfway through his first season in a game that, like we said, we think Denver will be competitive in. So I like this spot. Any thoughts on Bo Nix, guys?
You take a look at his rushing yards for me, actually, because I remember he had a couple the back-to-back games where I want to say like 70 attempts.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be running for his life.
Yeah,
bit too.
That's a good point. I like that. And to not get there against Carolina, I mean, one of the worst teams we've seen in ages. So really no pressure to have to run against Carolina. Also Vegas, not a great team. We'll ignore this.
Did he throw
Jets game.
5 touchdowns against Carolina too? I think he was just throwing the ball all day.
Passing touchdown.
He ran. I think he ran one in, and
he ran one in. Yeah, you're right. He ran one in and then threw for 3.
I went against him in fantasy, so I was very familiar with his stats from
always
that game,
the worst.
He destroyed me. Yeah.
Kept nice. All right. And then just tacking on, because I think the passing game is going to be it's a good spot for the Denver passing game. There's another spot here as well that's pretty good. Running back receptions, always a place I like to target. Javonte Williams for the Broncos. His line is, I like both. I think his receptions at 2.5 receptions. Let me pull that up. Where is he? Javonte Williams. Creeping up 3.5 at a few places, but at plus money. I like a 2.5. Nice leg to a builder there, a -156. Even at 2 would be even better for a leg to a builder there. Baltimore's allowed the 4th most receiving yards to running backs, the 8th most targets to running backs. So I also like his receiving yards at 17.5. Again, you can see this is creeping up as well. It was 17.5 earlier today on DraftKings, up to 18.5 now, 19.5 on FanDuel. So some upward movement on that as well. He's cleared this in 4 of 7 this season. And you can look at some of these running backs against Baltimore. Rachaad White and Bucky Irving in the same game, 71 and 54. Austin Eckler, 47. Zach Moss, 28. I mean, there's a bunch here. Pacheco, 33 in week 1. So that was nice. And then just real quick, tight end. The 2 teams to target tight ends against this season have been the Chiefs and the Ravens. Denver has Lucas Krull here. Second most, the reason I like this, Baltimore's allowed the second most targets, second most catchable targets, second most receptions, second most receiving yards, and the most air yards to tight ends. So I like his receiving yard line. Also creeping up here. Had it at 14.5. It's up to 15.5 now. And 1.5 receptions. I don't know. I was even thinking about doing Javonte Williams 2 receptions, Krull 2 receptions. put those two together. It's probably a nice little builder with some great data behind that to back it up. So that's Denver and Baltimore. Let's move along to let's see. What do you have a game that you like, Tone?
Yeah, I have a lot in the Sunday night game.
The Sunday night game. That's the
Colts and the Vikings.
The Colts and the Vikings. All right.
Yeah.
Let's pull that up. All right. What do you got for us?
And if you go to just Jonathan Taylor in week 4 when Richardson got hurt, and that's the only time that Flacco and JT like lined up. JT had 21 carries in that game. So I think getting Flacco back into the mix. I'm just kind of high on JT, not just only because I have him in fantasy, but like a touchdown, rushing attempts, rushing yards in that week.
So what do you have? That was the game against Pittsburgh here.
Yeah,
88
small sample
yards.
size. He scored the last 2 weeks he did play, but that was with AR. AR couldn't throw the ball for anything, so Flacco will have some completions, but I think seeing he got the 21 carries in the week that they ease Flacco in.
Yeah.
I should see. I think he gets 20 carries again. So
yeah, I mean he's had 23 straight weeks here, so that's pretty good. Also, look at that, six red zone rush attempts in that game with Flacco there. Yeah. So the touchdown's probably nice as well. Anytime touchdown. All right. Anything else from this game?
And then probably just Pittman too. I think in I don't know if in week 4 too, he against Pittsburgh when that's the game AR went out. I want to say like 10 targets that game, I believe.
Yeah,
9.
Nine
a lot of targets from Flacco. So just one of those you're feeding your ones, your RB1, your wide receiver 1. Comfortable.
I like Josh Downs a lot.
I know, that's what I was like. I remember him having success with Flacco there, right? You remembering the same thing?
Yeah, it was like the first week was
I have
Pittman, and then the week after
it
was Downs.
There we go, with Flacco. There we go.
Yeah, I started him every week with Flacco, and it paid off every time as my my flex. Yeah. So his target share went from basically nothing with Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Instantly. Look at his targets over those weeks too. He's averaged 9.8 targets.
Yeah, 9, 12, 9, 9. Wow.
I think Joe's going to sling it, and he's going to have to because Minnesota's good. They're going to score, you know?
Yeah, coming off 2 losses in a row, too. They're
exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Jonathan Taylor scores at some point for sure. I love that.
Yeah. Let's see here. Taylor.
I wish you could bet on targets. I bet there's somewhere you can bet on
targets. You can on Prize Picks, I believe.
Oh wow.
That's why they offer this up here. I know some of those Prize Picks, Underdog, one of those. That's why Props.cash started showing this target line up here. I believe for one of those DFS type sites. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Anything else from this game?
Nah, just JT. Definitely JT touchdown. I like the Downs look as well, but they're kind of just the receiving. They're probably going to be down, so any type of receiving in that game.
Look at that! Anytime touchdown on DraftKings for Taylor, -165. FanDuel +105. Fanatics +115.
Yeah, that's
a huge. That should be right there.
Yeah. Wow.
About to go smack that. I have one terrible look for this that we have to look at though.
Okay.
You look at Joe Flacco's rushing yards.
Oh boy.
Is it a half or is it 1.5?
It's a half. He needs 1 rushing yard. Oh yeah,
no,
I see a half on my books.
Okay.
Look at that. Look at that game. Look at that 22.
22.
I think old footsteps Flacco is going to come out and get rushed out of the pocket more than have a rushing attempt. And I don't think that they have a good probability of being up at the end of the game and have to kneel it out. I'm not going to bet it. I'm just saying I saw it and I was tempted. So just throwing it out there. If somebody wants to bet on Flacco for me.
All right. Let's keep moving here. Let's take a look at Miami Buffalo.
Keep it with quarterback rushing.
What was that?
No, that's where I was going. That's perfect.
Miami Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So real quick on this side, I like the matchup Miami, the rushing matchup against Miami. They've allowed the 6th most rush yards per attempt to opposing running backs and the most yards after contact. So the defense has not been great, having trouble bringing these running backs down. James Cook, he cashed for us last week with this monster 111 yard rushing game against Seattle. Seattle has allowed the 2nd most rush yards per attempt, so pretty comparable defense. We said Miami was the 6th most per attempt this season. And then you can see here, they played in week 2, get 78 yards in that game. Buffalo, 5.5-point home favorite, sets up game script wise. Nice for them to be handing the ball to Cook if they're up in this game. So I liked Cook over 64.5 rushing yards. You can see that's also FanDuel. Look at that. FanDuel 64.5, DraftKings 67.5. It's a 3-yard difference right there. Would you like from this game, Tim?
Check out. I like it, but there's one drawback. Check out Tua's rushing yards. He's 5.5.
Tua's rushing yards.
MGM. Look at Tua's rushing yards. Just trust me.
All right.
Just trust me. So hear me out.
Okay.
Hear me out. 5.5. You can get him right now at -110, or you can get even money at 6.5. Rushing attempts 14th, rushing yards 20th, but 5.1 yards per attempt. Buffalo's giving up to the rush this year. It's 29th in the league. I think he's going to be running for his life a little bit.
Yeah, look, Geno 16, Mason Rudolph 13, CJ Stroud, and clearing it by quite a bit there.
I mean, Lamar had 54, so I mean, he's literally a running back and didn't
Yeah.
cover.
I like that.
Tua covered
I
against him.
like that.
Yeah.
Especially after
So
the cheer of the slide last week.
I just think my only concern is like I think like they're just like they want Tua to get that ball out of his hand as quickly as possible, and I don't know if you think he's allowed to run? Did he run? He did. Yeah, that's true. He did. Look at that.
13.
And on 3 attempts too. Yeah. Look at that. All right.
What's his attempts line for this? I didn't even look at that yet.
Where is it? Right there.
If it's 3.5.
2.5.
2.5. Yeah, he'll get there on 3. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. All right.
Smack that shit.
I just want to see what he's done.
That's all I have in that game, though.
Rushing yards when he's had 3 rush attempts. Yeah. All right. Tone, you have anything from this game?
I was on like James Cook when he was plus money to score a touchdown, but I believe he's like -125-ish in this game. So
he's done a bit of that.
Yeah. -125.
Yeah, just taking any like starting running back that's gonna get red zone carries at plus money. But now they've kind of caught on to it. Josh Allen isn't really that mobile.
Yeah.
Like they thought. They thought he was honestly getting probably 5-6 red zone carries a game.
Look at Cook the last 3 weeks. 5, 3, 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime James Cook is like plus money, I kind of like it, but it's a little too much juice for me.
I hear you.
Last night with Mixon, I ultimately pulled the trigger at -125, but yeah, you're like, I'm getting juiced on a touchdown score. You normally see those being big, but yeah, with this guy's scores every week.
Yeah. All right. The other, I was on 2 other plays from this game real quick. Buffalo, like, is the best team to target running back receptions against this season. They've allowed the most targets, most receptions, most receiving yards to opposing running backs. We can just click through some right here. You can see a lot of green checks there. Breece Hall, Ogunbowale, Justice Hill with a monster game. So this shapes up nicely. He's been in, if we come over here and find Tua, there he is. Games with Tua this season, 3 games. He's gone over in all 3 games with Tua at quarterback. Also like his receptions at 4.5. Look at that with Tua. Look at 7, 7, and 8 targets for 7, 7, and 6 receptions when he's got Tua behind center. So I like both of those. the receptions and the receiving yards. And then I don't know what we think about where is he? Mostert's got such a low line, 5.5 receiving yards in his games with Tua. It's at 10 and 11.
What's his reception line? Is his reception line 1 at that number? Like
1.5.
1.5. Remember, we snagged him last week at 1 and got that.
Yeah. So that's a sneaky little one. I like Achane though. In that spot, he did it against Buffalo earlier in the season. He's got his quarterback back that loves to get the ball off to him. So that was my other play from this game. All right, moving right along. Let's go to the highest total on the board on Sunday. Dallas at Atlanta. Either of you guys, we have Dallas heading into Atlanta. Atlanta's 3-point favorites, 51.5 point total in this game. So nice game for some to bet some overs if that's what you're into. You guys like anything?
If I haven't really seen any like 100% news on Rico Dowdle, but if his if he's gonna definitely be RB1, I don't know the Dalvin Zeke situation, his receiving yards. I think with Dak, it's like, yeah.
There you go. Yeah, definitely
There's
a play
we've circulating.
Yeah, I would have to wait on news and just make sure that it's like definitely his backfield and then go from there. But it's just something to keep an eye on.
For sure. Definitely.
Allegedly, they are trading for Nick Chubb. Sorry, I don't know why. Maybe I'm delayed. But according to the internet, they're trading for Nick Chubb. I'm not believing it yet, but there's more than one outlet saying that they're going to move Chubb from the Browns to the Cowboys. So I don't know that I believe it yet, but that would shake things up pretty drastically.
For sure.
I don't
for
think
sure. That'd be
when's the deadline? The 7th or the 14th or something like that?
It's coming up soon. Yeah.
You guys know that. Yeah. Supposedly he's going to get that done before the deadline. We'll see. But if he comes in, he becomes the guy instantly.
Yeah, I love that. That'd be great. Tim, anything from this game?
Nothing yet.
No. Okay. All right. I got one for you
guys. There's one thing I looked at. Again, I'm not saying to bet it. I'm just saying Kirk Cousins rushing yards. It's a half.
I'm loving the
last
trend.
week he had 16 against Tampa
Bay.
First
time he's had non-positive rushing yards this whole season.
And this is my rebuttal. Look at the head-to-head. The last time he went for 18.
There you go. Back in 21.
I'm just saying 1 yard.
All
1 yard is all we need. Is he
gonna
like sneak maybe? I do. I love it.
He did have 3 attempts.
That's what I'm saying. So 1 yard, you're getting it at 10 plus or minus 105. I mean, I'm just saying.
Kirk Cousins had a 13.
They got his longest rush at 4.5. He'll cover that by 4 times. That's insane. So that's something I found in the data that I was like, there's an anomaly here. I don't know that it's like a great play, but I like it a lot.
I'm gonna take a wait and see on that one. But
I'm gonna go hit it just so you guys gotta eat it.
But I do like Cousins in this game. So Dallas is allowing the most passing yards per attempt to opposing quarterbacks at 9.4 per game. The most passing yards per completion, the most completions of 40 plus yards to opposing quarterbacks. And if you look, it's been great. So they started the season off. Where do we have here? I don't know why they played San Francisco. I don't know why Purdy's numbers aren't in there, but Purdy threw for 260 last week. Then you had Goff at 315. You had Danny Dimes 281, Derek Carr 243. These other ones, Deshaun Watson, we can throw out his games. Justin Fields, same thing. So when we're looking at the pass first quarterbacks, Goff and Carr, they did pretty good against this Dallas defense. Also see Cousins seems to be, slight upward trend on his completion percentage here this season. So he's getting more comfortable in this Atlanta offense. I just think this is a nice spot. Should be a high scoring game, back and forth at home. Only 3-point favorites at home to this Dallas team that needs some wins. I think Atlanta's rounding into form, and I like this spot for Cousins over. I had this at 249.5. You can still 248.5 on DraftKings, 251 on FanDuel.
What's that? 240.5.
Fanatics, but I don't know if that's. I don't know. Sometimes those can be a little bit delayed in updating. So sometimes I see those Fanatics lines are a little bit off from the rest of the market there. So not sure. I didn't check that out. But all right, that's all for that game. Tone, you got to get another game.
Wild out there.
I just got another touchdown score in the Detroit Packers game. I haven't seen props on like the Packers. I don't know if there's news of like somebody out or potentially.
I think because they don't know for sure if Love's playing yet. Okay. Yeah. So you like anytime touchdown for who?
Amon-Ra.
There he is.
You go to like touchdowns, and then the games that they win, their favorite. He scored like 80% of the games they win, 75 of the last 20. Like games that they're gonna win. He's getting at least 1 or 2 red zone looks. So
I'm hearing a lot of rumors. It's going to be a cold, windy day in Green Bay.
Ooh.
And that doesn't bode well for small hands Jared Goff, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, dome made. That is a good shout. That is a good shout.
Look at Goff. I noticed this. Look at Goff. So that's overall, right? Look at him when he's on turf. Look at that. Usually indoors, games on turf. Look at him when he's on grass, outdoors. Look at those hit rates. Look how they drop right down. They don't have a weather split on here, but I think the weather's not as good. So obviously things could change if Jordan Love doesn't play this game. But I don't know. I'm liking this game for the Packers. What are they? 2.5 point favorites at home. 2.5 point dogs at home. Is that right? I think I might like that. I didn't actually have anything for this game, so Tim, unless you have anything, we'll move on to another one.
No, nothing I love.
No. All right.
I won't talk about Jared Goff's rushing.
Is it a half?
No, I didn't even look.
3.5. Oh no, that's actually that's not a real line. No, there are no lines out for Goff rushing.
Gotcha.
All right, let's go to Chicago, Arizona. Real quick, I like Caleb Williams passing yards in this spot. It's 221.5. That's what I got it for on FanDuel. Already up to 223.5 on FanDuel. You got to lock some of these in early because these numbers start to creep up. This is what I like. So let's look at Caleb Williams' season here. Let's take grass off. There we go. So let's look at his season. So he went over this line in 3 games, right? The game against Jacksonville. So I think the extent to which the defense he sees puts pressure on the quarterback has kind of dictated how successful Caleb Williams has been this season. Jacksonville, he cleared this line to 226. They are the 31st ranked. They have the 31st ranked quarterback pressure rate. I'll get to it in 1 second. Arizona, the team he's playing this week, has the 32nd, the worst or the lowest quarterback pressure rate this season. The other teams he played, Carolina next, the 24th ranked quarterback pressure rate, and Indiana, middle of the pack. He cleared in this one, 16th, right? The games he went under, Washington, they have the 5th highest quarterback pressure rate. The Rams, 3rd highest quarterback pressure rate, and Houston, the 8th highest quarterback pressure rate. So you can kind of see all the teams. Those are all top 10, top 8 defenses in terms of putting pressure on the quarterback. Caleb Williams went under. When he doesn't see that pressure, he's going over. So I love this spot for him. Arizona They only pressure the quarterback on 32% of their pass attempts. Just for comparison's sake, Minnesota's highest in the league. They pressure the quarterback on 80% of attempts. So huge difference between the top and bottom of the league there. So I like Caleb Williams over 221.5 passing yards. All right, what's next? I got a bunch from Jacksonville, Philly. I don't know if that's a game you guys were on at all.
I have 2 from this game.
Oh, you do?
But they're not like, yeah, they're not smacks yet. I just want to talk to you guys about it. See what
all right, let's hear it.
I have DJ Moore on my fantasy team, which is what led me to start looking into this. Worried about him being injured. But Arizona's defense giving up, they're in the green as far as like 25th or worst in basically every stat for like completion percentage, pass attempts, passing yards, everything. And with DJ Moore, I think Rome Odunze and potentially Cole Kmet have a lot to benefit from it. If you look at Odunze, he's been very consistent as far as his yardage over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But his targets were all over the place. He had 6, 2, and 6. And I feel like the 6 target games is a little bit more of what we'd be expecting here. Yeah. And then the thing that I did there was I started looking at number 2 receivers. Because if you look at wide receivers against Arizona's defense, for example, Tyreek Hill didn't cover his line. McConkey was the number 1, but Josh Palmer did cover his line. When you look at Green Bay, Jaden Reed didn't, but Romeo Doubs did. Yeah. Ayuk did against him. So I'm looking at, if he's going to throw the ball and give him 6 targets, his line of 35.5 has to be covered. Even on a 3 receptions, he covers that line.
Yeah.
So his receptions is 2.5, juiced heavily to the over, telling me that they're expecting him to have 3. So I like his yards line there. Like either a 40 plus at plus money, or I think 35.5 is the
35.5 right there
is the straight line. So that's kind of like my thought there. I feel like he had a lot of hype going out of the draft and then kind of disappeared, but he's still there and he's still getting targets. He's out there for 75-80% of the snaps, and I think Arizona is going to be a game where they toss it. So I'm gonna hit him for his yardage. I'm just gonna find where I think 34.5 is the lowest I saw it.
Yeah, I love it. I think, Chicago's going to be. I think this is a bodes well for a offensive outburst kind of game for them. And so I think taking a few pieces. I think a Bears little builder from something maybe with Caleb Williams, and then more Dunza, Kmet, something like that. Receptions, bring them down. It could be it's a nice spot for a nice little Bears builder, I think, from this game.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm gonna hit him straight at that 35.
Yeah, I like that as well.
Figure it out there, because I'm hoping DJ Moore explodes for my fantasy, but I'm just being realistic on the target share and everything. I hope he's healthy.
Yeah. All right.
I'm losing a lot of people.
Yeah. Yes. Which game do we want to go to next? Jacksonville at Philly. All right. I got a few from this game, and I worked up a little, just like I was talking about, a little builder. I think Jacksonville is just like, I think you have 2 teams, like one on the upswing, one on the downswing. I think Jacksonville is just kind of like throwing in the towel on this season. I think the head coach will be out soon. And I think Philly's like rounding into form a bit here. I think they looked great last week. I thought Hurts had it seemed like he had all day to throw last week against Cincinnati. The offensive line looked good. So I think they're, we're getting into midseason form for the Eagles. So there's a few spots I like. Let's start with the quarterback here, Jalen Hurts. So I like the passing game for Philly in general. I'll run through some of the data that I like here. Quarterbacks against the Jaguars, 3rd most passing yards allowed, 5th most completions, and the 2nd lowest quarterback pressure rate. So he should have, with that better offensive line play he's been getting, he should have plenty of time to throw the ball. And then if you look at wide receivers against Jacksonville, 4th most catchable targets, 4th most receptions, 4th most receiving yards, 2nd most yards per target. So great numbers across the board. So I like Jalen Hurts over 213.5 passing yards. 212. wherever, anywhere from 215 to 212 here. I had a 213.5. I think so. I like him. I think the offense in general will be good. And then if you think he's going to have a good game, I think he's got two receivers, right, that he likes to go to. Or let's see, in AJ Brown. I don't know if anybody saw last game. AJ Brown was chirping a little bit about maybe there should have been a couple balls that came his way that didn't. Usually when that happens with your star receiver like this, the coaching staff takes notice and makes sure to get him involved early and often. So I like AJ Brown over 79.5 receiving yards. You can see in his 4 games this season, he's had 80 plus in every single game. I think 5 receptions for him he's had in every single game is a nice leg to a builder. His straight line's 5.5. So I think that's nice. And then I also like Devonta Smith in this game. Look at him, over 55.5 receiving yards. He's done that in every game except that game against the Giants. So I think those are good. The little builder I put together, you could take Hurts at 175 passing yards, which he's done in 15 of his last 20, and actually 11 of his last 12 games at home. I'm not going to click through these right now, but take my word for it. 175 passing yards for Hurts. AJ Brown, 50 receiving yards. Where is he? AJ Brown, 50 receiving yards. Very nice number for him. You can see there's him at 50. He's done that in 17 of his last 20. And Devonta Smith, same thing, at 40 receiving yards. He's also cleared in 17 of his last 20. Let's see, right there. 17 of his last 20. All 3 of those together, that's Hurts, 175 passing yards. AJ Brown, 50 receiving yards. Devonta Smith, 40 receiving yards. You get that for plus 101 on FanDuel. But that was a nice little spot there. You guys have anything from this game?
Nah, but definitely, probably to add to that builder is just Evan Ingram, either 4 or 5 catches. No Christian Kirk. I think he's had like 5-6 targets every week. The 3 weeks he's been back.
Yeah, 10, 5, 5. Yeah.
So no Christian Kirk.
He scared me last week. He wasn't involved till late last week.
Yeah, that is.
I have him on fantasy too.
Yeah.
I was looking for him hit that 5th reception. He only had 4. Got that last second touchdown to cash our receptions builder, which was really nice.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to come back hot like that 10.
The other place I'd look though, if you did want to add another leg to that builder, actually I love Barkley in this game too. For receiving yards. Where did we go here? I just lost my page. Yeah, here we go. It's 12.5. So he's gone over against Tampa Bay, Atlanta, and Green Bay. Tampa Bay has allowed the 2nd most receiving yards to opposing running backs. Atlanta, the 4th most receptions. Green Bay, the 8th most receiving yards to opposing running backs. Those are his overs. The teams he's gone under against. Cincinnati, they've allowed the 3rd fewest receiving yards to running backs. Cleveland went under, 8th fewest. And you have the Giants and the Saints. They're both like middle of the pack. So you can see it makes sense. He's going over against the teams that allow a lot of receiving yards and receptions to running backs, and under against the teams that don't. Now he faces Jacksonville, who's allowed the most receptions to running backs, the 3rd most targets, and the 3rd most receiving yards. I love targeting these teams that give up a ton. That was the same for Jacksonville last year too. And if you look here, we can run through DeAndre Swift, a bunch of green check marks here, 28, Sermon 25, Cook 48, Achane 76. So I like Barkley over 12.5 receiving yards in this spot. One we've been playing a lot. We've been throwing into builders. This is 2 receptions. I think, if you want to throw that into that builder with Hurts and Brown and Smith, that's also another good look. All right, I got 2 games left. I got a play for Rams, Seahawks, and a play for Chargers, Browns the one you guys would want to go over? Or is there any other games you guys want to touch before we wrap up?
Just to like
wanna
add
talk
on to the
okay.
two you want to talk about, I'm just gonna talk like both LA teams on the money line. I think the Rams have something to prove with Stafford. All the little random trade rumors that whatchamacallit
Mm-hmm.
they've been thrown out there. I
That's
think they looked really good last week.
they did.
And then the Chargers, I think the Jameis Winston magic is gonna not be as potent this week. So I'm just taking both LA teams and little LA special,
I like that.
both 1 point favorites on the road.
I love that. I love the Rams, especially Seattle. Something's off in Seattle. They have not been playing well, and the Rams are playing well. They're getting they got Cobb Nakua back now. They're really starting to look good. So I think you're going to see a nice little late season surge from the Rams here, and I think it starts at Seattle this week. I like that. I like that play. Let's take a look at that game. Tim, did you have another game you wanted to touch on, or I
I
cut
just
you
want
off
to talk
there?
about Jameis Winston. I just want to talk about
Jameis
Jameis
Winston.
Winston
All right,
as much
let's
as
do
possible.
Rams Seattle, and then we'll finish up with that game.
Yeah,
James
that's
Winston
fine.
rushing.
No, 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 no.
Where-
Interceptions, yes.
yeah, there we
Yeah.
go.
Little Philly,
All right.
Philly.
So this one, passing yards. I like Stafford in this game to go over his passing yard line of 238.5. Yeah, you can still get it on FanDuel, 238.5 there. He's gone over this line. It might be hard for me to there's so many players to scroll through, but if you take my word for it, he's gone through over this line in let's see if we can find it. 8 straight games with Cup and Puka in the lineup there. I'm not gonna be able to. There's Cup with Cup. There he is. There's Puka. 8 straight games with these two guys, averaging 304.9 passing yards. Last season against Seattle, he had 334 passing yards at Seattle at the beginning of last season. In his 2 games with Puka this season, you can see 2 of his bigger overs, 317, 279. Since week 4, like I said, I think Seattle's kind of trending the wrong way. So I threw out those first couple weeks mainly because they faced Skylar Thompson, Jacoby Brissett, and Bo Nix in his first start. So you got some like skewed numbers there. But since week 4, when he's actually faced some legitimate quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Kirk Cousins, Brock Purdy, Daniel Jones, questionable on legitimate quarterback there, but and then Jared Goff. So starting from this Jared Goff week, Seattle has allowed the 8th most passing yards, by far the most yards per attempt in the league at 9.6 yards per pass attempt, and the 4th most pass yards per completion at 12.6 yards per completion. So I think Stafford goes into Seattle, has himself a nice little game, and he's got his 2 big receivers back in the fold for him. Love this spot for the Rams. And let's wrap it up. We got the Chargers going into Cleveland to face the hype man himself, Jameis Winston. Where is this? There we go. Jameis Winston and the Cleveland Browns. What'd you guys like for this game?
Just Chargers money line, but
I'm
that's
just
the biased Chargers fan.
Okay. What'd you like,
I'm
Tim?
just curious to see what Jameis does after his quote. I'm looking to make sure I quote him correctly about you can't say the sky's the limit when people are on the moon. So with a guy like that, with that intellect coming in to hype your team up, I really do genuinely think Cedric Tillman just gets the biggest boost because of him.
Mhm.
But I feel like he's going to try to sling it and throw an interception. And I looked up the odds thinking they'd be a little bit better. I feel like they're minus 150 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I want to see what you
looked at
guys
that.
think about Tillman. Tillman with Jameis Winston is basically those 2 games right there.
Yeah.
And he had some deep balls. The targets were there in the
12
game
and
for the
9.
I mean,
yeah.
yeah. So, they've got Jerry Jeudy and
Elijah Moore.
Cedric Tillman at wide receiver. I mean, Elijah Moore's theirs too, but
Yeah.
it's just a different receiver room. Obviously, Njoku's going to get his targets, but the deep threat, Jameis likes to sling it, and I don't know if I'm going to put money on it, but I did pick him up in fantasy, and he's tempting me in a flex spot. So
his longest reception
he's
too
got
at
the deep
19 and a
ball.
half is nice.
It
Over in
does look
those
really
two games.
nice.
Yeah, I could see that.
That was all I had. I was just curious what you guys think about them finally starting Jameis, and is it going to make a difference? His projections are really bad as far as like the totals for passing yards and things like that, but I'm curious.
Well,
to see if
Tone's
he
on the
sells.
money line for the Chargers, so I think he's
Yeah.
not feeling a big Jameis
Yeah.
Winston game.
I like Jameis, but I just think the Magic's
I
Magic's
don't.
on. You got your big win, and now
Yeah.
you come back to reality. Even though,
Yeah.
I have Nick Chubb stashed on a lot of fantasy teams, so that Dallas trade
Same.
sounds good right now. But yeah, I mean, I would like to see the Browns be good. They have the potential to be good, but
They don't
I
have
just,
any
I just think
potential.
the Magic's dead. The Magic's gone.
I've spent half of my life living in Ohio, and I've seen the data. They're dog shit always, man. It's unfortunate. Can't imagine growing up a Browns fan and just having to deal with that every year.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Haslams for buying the Crew. Though. We love that part. They have the same ownership group as the Crew of the soccer team.
Oh,
It's
really?
much better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're
Nice.
if you're a Browns fan, just follow the Crew. You get to win. It's nice.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap it up. This is my last
That's all
play
I got.
of the day here. McConkey, I know you just mentioned him a little while ago. His straight line is over 50 and a half receiving yards. I like the over. As you can see, he's had 40 plus receiving yards in 5 straight games. So I think I love it at minus 215. I think that's a great leg to a builder. He's wide receiver 1 there. I don't like the totals. Cleveland. I don't know. It's not necessarily Cleveland, but just the Chargers in general. They just kind of prefer to run the ball. It's not the same offense we were seeing with Justin Herbert airing it out. But I think 50 receiving yards is definitely achievable for him here. He's averaging 6.8 targets per game in the 6 games that he's played over 60% of the snaps. That eliminates this one game where he's under 50% against Carolina. But otherwise, he's again there. He's almost at 40, and he just got hooked at 39 in this week 1 against Vegas. So I think this is a nice little spot for McConkey against a not so great, though they are better at home. The Browns defense, they just have not been what we expected. So
I got one more I forgot about. I'm sorry. I got one more I forgot about. And this fits into the theme. J.K. Dobbins, anytime touchdown is right around even money on some books, like plus 100 on FanDuel. And they give up the 22nd most attempts and rushing touchdowns per game. So it looks like for someone who gets a lot of goal line carries or red zone attempts, he had 2 in the last game, 4 in the game prior, nothing against Arizona. When he gets 2, he scores. So at even money, that might be a nice addition to your James Cooks and stuff like that, who are a little bit juiced. So that was all I had here. I forgot.
I like that. That's a good look. I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Nice work, boys. We're just closing in on an hour here, so I think it's a good time to wrap up. Tone, it was awesome having you on for the first time. Look forward to many more to come for sure. Tim, pleasure as always. Let's lock these bets in. Put your builders up in the chat there. We'd love to see I know a lot of people like to just kind of take a piece here and there from the pod, so we'd love to see what you guys come up with when you do that. So everyone, good luck this Sunday, and let's all make some money.
Hell yeah. See you guys.
See ya.